Hello and welcome to The Nation. I'm Melissa Ong. Today we have a crucial topic to discuss. How can we improve crime prevention measures in Malaysia? As crime rates fluctuate and new challenges emerge, it's more important than ever to explore effective strategies to ensure the safety and security of our communities. Our esteemed guest, Associate Professor Dr. Geshina Ayu Mat Saat, joins us today in the studio, and she's also an Exco member of the Malaysia Crime Prevention Foundation. Doctor, thank you for joining us. And there's a lot to discuss today, so we'll just get the show started. What are the most pressing crime issues in Malaysia, and how have crime trends evolved in Malaysia? And perhaps can you share some statistics along the way as well?
Thank you, Melissa, Bernama, for having me here. The most common crime trends that we face nowadays happens to be scams, acts of violence, and the versatility of criminals. It used to be criminals just perform one or two types of crime. Now it appears that criminals have increased their range of criminality. See, changes in crime trends reflect social and technology evolution in Malaysia. For example, changing gender roles. You have shifts in economical focus, borderless networking and transactions. So all these converge to unfortunately create conditions whereby crime is more likely to happen. There's more opportunities, there's more space for crime to happen, and sometimes the criminal, for example, if you go for love scam, they reach out to more and more people. It used to be one criminal, one victim.
Right.
So now we can't say that. It'll be probably like a syndicate of crime. So you have one criminal or two or three criminals focusing on 20, 30, even 100 potential victims. So you see, losses related to scams alone for this country runs in the billions.
Wow.
At least 1 billion. Yeah? That's annually. Now, Malaysians continue to fall to become victims of scams. For example, you have pilgrimage scams. Yeah? Haji for the Muslims. So Hajj is coming up. So people need to be alert and be aware that unfortunately there are syndicates who offer pilgrimage packages, and they're actually scams. So you also have travel scams, going on trips abroad, love scams, investment, bitcoins, it goes on. You see, the thing is, I like to add here is that internet access, use, technology dependency. Now all of these make it easier than before for scams, drug trafficking, bullying, various types of crime to flourish. So the scope is quite big.
Right. So, Doctor, in terms of how is the Malaysian law enforcement agencies, including MCPF, the agency that you are with, currently doing to address to the rapid technology, as you mentioned, used by all these criminals in all types of different scams?
Right. See, beyond engaging in public lectures and talk, so Malaysian law enforcement agencies, we're talking, for example, like the AEDK, the Royal Malaysia Police, MCPF, spread awareness and education via printed and digital contents regarding various types of crime. For example, human trafficking, that's a big one. For example, scams, another big one, as well as acts of violence. So not only do we focus on different types of crime, but also possibilities of victimization that can occur one time but different crimes.
Right.
So for example, snatch theft. It used to be someone just takes your handbag and runs away. Now what unfortunately happens is that the victim is dragged with a motorcycle. So it's multiple types of crime occurring at one time, as well as crime prevention tips. So we share that a lot, not only physically but also digital contact. There are also ongoing research and collaboration between various agencies and other NGOs on victim support. That's number one. Forensic science is another area, as well as rehabilitation and intervention in prisons. So these continue to be done over and over again. Unfortunately, there is, I have to say this, despite these various efforts, unless a person actually becomes a crime victim, such information and skills that the government shares, the NGO share, schools share, they're not being paid attention to. So when they do become victims, it's very common when they once they report the crime, they ask the police, "Can I get my money back?"
Right.
So if they were aware, they paid attention to the knowledge, the skills that we've been sharing periodically, all sorts of crimes could be avoided in the first place.
So let's just talk about what Tan Sri Lamtai she mentioned earlier in the press. Improving the level of trust between the public and also police is essential in forging stronger bonds and also cooperation to fight against crime prevention. So in your opinion, what steps can the police take to build this kind of public trust and confidence in professionalism and also integrity? And I just want to note, in March this year, I just have something here from my producer. She wrote, Bukit Aman CID Director Communication Datuk Sri Muhammad Suhaili Muhammad Zain acknowledged that the police must do all they can to improve the public's trust towards this force. As you know, over the years, many things has happened and tainted their reputation. So they are trying their best to continue to improve their image. So your comments on this, Doctor?
Well, integrity is important. So elements in integrity include, for example, respect, honesty, being responsible, having patience, accountability. Sometimes all it takes is just one rotten apple to spoil the entire barrel, unfortunately. But also, you have to look at the other side. Now, sometimes victims don't come forward with the entire narrative of what actually happened to them. There have been cases whereby parents come forward saying that their daughter ran away with a man, with a boyfriend, with whoever, the daughter was kidnapped and whatnot. When during the course of investigation, they find out was that the daughter had been fighting with the family members. There's been a lot of abuse in the family, for example. So the victims, so-called victims, they don't come forward with the whole story.
Right. So does this mean that there is severely underreporting in our country, especially in terms of crimes that relates to abuse, which brings a bit shame, right? What are your thoughts and data that you have from your organization?
Well, unfortunately, it does not help matters when crimes get leaked into social media, for example. People would rather report in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, instead of actually going to the authorities and seeking help through the correct channels. That does happen, unfortunately. And once that happens, it's beyond the control of the police, because it is the decision of the victims or even the victims' families to make what happened to them, their trauma, their experiences, life for everyone to look into, to debate about. And netizens, unfortunately, can be pretty vicious. So it is very common whereby one incident is reported, is mentioned in social media, and you get 300, 400, 500 feedbacks from netizens as if they are experts in the area.
So that's why we need to be really careful, especially releasing information on the World Wide Web, because that cannot be retracted, right? And I would also like to touch on statement by Tan Sri Lamtai. He said many crimes or instances of violence are committed by young criminals. Is this true?
Well, certain types of crimes are easier to be carried out by younger people, because generally you get younger people, they're more fit, and they're more versatile, more flexible, more alert. For example, can you imagine a heavy-set, middle-aged man trying to break into a house through a second-story window? I mean, that's a bit odd, you know? So people who do that type of activity, trying to break into homes, are generally not fat, they're slim, okay? They're more agile, they can climb up. As we age, for example, men who are above 40 years old have higher tendency to get vertigo. So any high distance will make them more likely feel afraid because they might fall. So that's why you get younger people. But having said that, past research has indicated that in order to make a crime, it's not just age factor. There's things, for example, how fit. You're talking about the person's creativity. It can be a female, it can be male, it can be a child. So it's regardless of all these issues, criminals can be of any gender, okay, of any ethnicity or age. It could mean they stop before they turn 30 because they have a career, or they have been in prison too many times. Or it can be because they're ill, they're sick. There are other avenues where they can get money. And it also could mean, instead of being on the field, chasing after potential victims, they now shift to white-collar crime. So there's a lot of things that we need to consider when we talk about whether a crime is age-related, meaning committed by younger people.
You talk about white-collar crimes, right? And I would like to ask about the technology and leveraging on this innovation and technology to bolster crime prevention strategies such as the use of surveillance systems and also data analytics and also predictive policing. What are your thoughts on this, of using technology to police these white-collar crimes?
It's good. Actually, it should be encouraged even, but there are costs to it. Of course, preventing crime is the best way forward. So we want to prevent crime before it occurs, not someone becomes a victim and then we react towards it. With technology, it's neutral. It depends on the user whether they want to use it for a good thing or a bad thing. Unfortunately, criminals, they have pro-criminal tendencies, their thoughts, their cognitive processes, all about negatives. So instead of using it in a positive way. Criminals, by and large, they are not more intelligent than people that you normally see. So my team, we've done studies about this, the Forensic Science Program of University Science Malaysia, we've done studies about this. Criminals are not more intelligent than normal people. What they are more creative. So they use technology creatively. And for that reason, the law enforcement agencies, people, normal people, should be also be more creative in ensuring that they're safe from criminals, from being targets.
Let's shift gears a little bit on the National Unity Week, which is happening this week, right? How important is community engagement in crime prevention to combat crimes, and how can these foster the feeling of unity among residents, especially in neighborhoods where we are trying to gather and also to prevent crimes together? Because combusting crime is not just a one-man show, right? It takes a village to try to tackle this, right? So your thoughts on this, and especially in this week of Unity Week?
Crime prevention is everyone's responsibility. So it's not just the police. You can't go around and asking, where are the police? Because they also have their own lives. So they need their own time off, for example. So it's everyone's responsibility. Malaysia, fortunately, is still a society that practices collective living, whereby we still care for our neighbors. It's slowly moving away from that to become individualistic lifestyles, but we still have that sense of community cohesion, and that should even be something that we promote more and more so. Because by taking care of one another, we are more alert to strangers in our environment. And this is why it's very important. In the Malay language, we have makcik yang suka jaga kain tepi orang, yang sibuk-sibuk tu, what do you call it? Busybody. So the busybodies have a very important role to play because they are the first people to notice the strangers in our environment.
Right. Yeah.
So they should be encouraged to watch out for others, and you don't even have to pay them. They willingly are in our community to help be alert about strange things that goes on in our community. And that definitely should be something which we should advocate, whereby everyone is taking care of everyone else, especially with the young people. So the young people, because they're under the purview, under the care of their parents. So parents and other adults in the neighborhood do have a responsibility to also look out for the children. This has been going on in Malaysia for quite some time, even 20 years ago. That's what it meant to be, what it means to be part of society. It is only in the last 5-6 years ago that people tend to move away from that, and just being in the silo of the unit of a family. So we have to bring that back.
Let's talk about some individuals who probably propagate hate speech, and that's also happening quite rampantly lately, right? Which perpetuates stereotypes and even express racism and crimes which are committed by people of certain races. How would you advise these people, or give some, on your thoughts about this?
To me, it's very clear that these people are cowards because they target those who they perceive to be weaker than they are. These individuals love situations of chaos. So there are personality traits that they exhibit and they focus on and they emphasize in their communications, in their relationship with many other people in their own environment. on the pretext of a specific religion, a specific ethnicity, they will cause hardships, misery, and they will cause harm. If they don't like someone, the way that they see forward is to use violence. So violence is a means of control and power over other people. It doesn't necessarily need to be because of a religion, because of an ethnicity. It can be literally anything. Again, it's a subject of how creative the person is, because, for example, many societies would say it is not our people of our ethnicity who commit the crime. But in the dark, you can't tell who's a Malaysian, who's a Singaporean, who's an Indonesian. You can't tell. Everyone looks the same because we're all from the same Southeast Asia. Even some of us from the wider Asia countries look similar from the back or from the side. So it's just something which criminals tend to focus on. But at the heart of the matter, if a criminal has intention to do evil, to do bad things, it's going to happen anyways.
Sure, exactly. Let's just shift focus to a little bit about what MCPF does and how do you guys play a part for crime prevention?
See, MCPF has liaison committees in every state. So the Prime Minister is our patron.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the power goes down, and then for each state level, we have our own group of people who work hand in hand with the police. So every state has one MCPF. So we work hand in hand as a liaison between the police authorities and members of the public, because sometimes members of the public are afraid or scared to come forward to talk to the police, for example. So we come to the picture. They can come to us to explain the situation. We go to them. We don't sit in our HQ, for example. We don't have HQs. Yeah, we normally have meetings in the police force or wherever it is. So in that context, we become the middleman. We share information, what the police tell us about how to protect ourselves and our family members. So it's a two-way street.
On that note, you mentioned that your organization has 13 setups in different states, right? Because there's 13 states in Malaysia. So what are certain crimes that are committed in these states? Certain crimes more prevalent, or let's say snatch thefts. The other one, I don't know, rape, I don't know, something like that. So
there are unique circumstances for every state. So not all crimes occur everywhere in each state. For example, in Selangor, in Kuala Lumpur, you get more crimes related towards economic.
Right.
Yeah, so you do get, unfortunately, higher levels of snatch theft, for example. Yeah, but other parts of Malaysia, you get other types of crime. So, for example, unfortunately, in like Kelantan, in Terengganu, there have been cases of rape, of what do you call it, pedophile activities. Yeah, trying to victimize unknown children as well, their own children, for example. So it changes over time. It changes due to changes in economy, changes in, let's say, COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 situation, unfortunately, some types of crime, you get less, and others you get more. There were not much street crimes during COVID-19 because everyone was at home.
Right.
Yeah. But unfortunately, at that time, we had higher levels of domestic violence, higher levels of child abuse. So it differs from state to state.
But it's good because with that data, you would know how to tailor the campaigns that you have to target each specific crimes that is prevalent in that certain state. So which is great to have that data.
For example, in states nearer to the borders, we have trans-border crime ways of, for example, talks, seminars, workshops. So to help people who live near the border to understand what the symptoms, know what to do if they become a victim. You don't get those type of crimes in the middle part of Malaysia, for example. It will be different types of crimes. There it will be more of like theft of belongings, of minerals and other things.
So, Doctor, yesterday I read some news articles about the safest countries around the world, and this Global Peace Index 2024. It says that there are 10 most peaceful countries and countries that have low crime rates, and these are the countries: Switzerland, Slovenia, Portugal, Austria, New Zealand, Ireland, Denmark, Japan, and also our neighbour Singapore. So what lessons can our country, Malaysia, learn from the crime prevention models from these countries, especially Singapore and Japan is closest to us, and how can we emulate what they are doing more successful to combat crimes in their country?
Okay, the first thing is evidence-based practice, but it must be taken with caution. Just because it works in Japan does not necessarily mean it's going to work in Malaysia, because of the entire cultural, social context, which are different.
Yes.
Yeah, so for example, Japan has a specific culture to them, and the way that they prevent crime works for them. If you use that same model and say let's put it in Sweden, it may not work, because the culture, the context, the economy, the people there are all totally different. So there are lessons to be learned. First of all is evidence-based practice, and then we have to adapt it to the local context. We can't just simply take it and say it's going to work, because it's not. We have to try it out.
In that same note, are there any specific challenges or significant setbacks that crime prevention efforts in Malaysia have faced? And could you give us examples? How was it addressed, and what have we learned from those cases?
All right. When it comes to violent crime, domestic violence, for example, rape, sodomy, when we go out and we give talks, we give them skills and training to detect what's going on, to safeguard the family members. The problem is victims, potential victims come and listen. The doers, they don't listen. So we unfortunately reach towards the potential victims, but not the people who are prone towards it, who like to go into that life, who are more excited about criminality rather than actually moving forward in a positive way. Yeah. So what we do to cover for that, to address that, is actually go to prison. So we do rehabilitation, we assess their behaviors, try to understand why would they target these individuals. It's always a matter of, until a crime happens, until I become a crime victim, I don't want to know about it. And then when the victimization occurs, that's when they come forward and seek help.
I guess it's very important to start from the roots of it, which is the schools.
Not in schools, also it goes back to the family.
The family and the schools, for sure. Our families who are responsible to educate us about violence and criminal.
The younger, the better.
Right. Well, Dr. Geshina, there's a lot of things that we can really walk through about this crime prevention, but unfortunately we have limited time. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
That's all the time we have for you today, and let's continue to work together to make Malaysia a better place, as Malaysia requires a multifaceted approach involving law enforcement, community engagement and also public trust. Thank you for joining us in this edition of The Nation. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions. I'm Melissa Ong. Have a nice day.